able to listen to the interpretation in Latvian. But now we'll continue in Latvian. For years, IVARS BALODIS is leading an association, Apeirons, and for some years already he was better seen going than coming by the politicians. So on paper they were ready to agree to everything, but in nature actually everything was not as it was planned. But you are the one who is most ready to evaluate the progress. You are saying from accessibility to accessibility, meaning that not always green is green. What if you can push a button and have a wheelchair lift, but if it's not working, it's no use of. Sometimes we think that we have created accessibility. Yes, indeed. The accessibility is a modern word. Accessibility is a complicated issue, but if the minister said that we can learn from countries who have been solving this issue of accessibility for years, we are also solving these issues or talking about those issues for decades. When our country has tried to create legislation as well as in practice with bigger or smaller errors, although making errors, I believe that we have achieved a lot. And if I compare ourselves with Lithuania and Estonia, I think we have achieved by far more. Thank you very much, says the moderator. At least there is something where we are in front of our neighbors. Yes, indeed. And the society is now fluctuating very much, and that means that the society is not indifferent, meaning that we can go forward, we can change something, and the progress is there, and it's going to continue to be. And if we have to compare ourselves with Western, where there are interesting theories, as we heard just from the professor, but although we have started this accessibility issue more recently, our solutions are more modern, more interesting, and more innovative. So I think physically we can achieve more, but we still have to change our mindsets. We have to, that's the main challenge, to tackle our mindsets, to change something. Our attitude. This is about our conference. This is not just about physical accessibility. It's needed for the society. I want to congratulate you, IVARS, what Minister said. Also, that's one thing, and in the future we will have even more European money, and we will build a lot, and we will talk about accessibility issue. Yes, in the nearest future, we are going to build a lot with the COVID crisis.
But okay, we will wait when we have it. So, when you are talking about accessibility, from accessibility to accessibility, so what do you mean by this? So when we are manufacturing the lift, maybe all the buttons have to be with braille signs, or what do you mean? Okay, from accessibility to accessibility, the slogan means we have to understand what does it mean, what it implies. So very often we speak that, yes, it's important, and very often people come to us and they ask us how to construct and how to adjust the buildings, and also people from the medical institutions come and they say that yes, we are for accessibility, but our building is very special and we cannot ensure it. So we have to start understanding that the most important thing is real works, not just your words. And if we talk about these medical institutions, institutions, which very often are in historic old buildings, where it is hard to ensure this accessibility because there are hard to comply with newest construction standards. But we have to remember that we have to ensure not this physical performance, but we have to ensure functionality. So in new buildings, of course, we comply with all these conditions and requirements, but in older buildings also we have to ensure that people independently can access. Maybe the doors will be narrower, maybe this ramp will be somewhere a little bit further, but anyways, there should be an approach that people can independently access this building. Yes, but IVARS, there is also some emotional part of it, because people come, this accessibility also in the older building is ensured, but this ramp is somewhere around the corner where there is a bin and not nice place. So we are sorting the waste and over there, and so and you can get in the building over there. Yes, this is an attitude, and also later our speakers will speak about it. So there is an attitude that, yeah, this person with disability, he needs it. Okay, we will somehow put it somewhere. But the right approach should be that this access is ensured not only for people with wheelchairs, but also elderly and mothers with babies. And so this is attitude we need to change, and we need to prioritize in our mind, and we have to understand what is important. For example, we have people from sports competitions who organized, for example, motocross competitions, and they said that yeah, so people with wheelchairs are also coming to watch it, and they are our clients, and they came to us and they asked, how can we adjust our building? And Scandinavian research also showed that this kind of one extra step reduces income for entrepreneur by 15%. So the less accessible environment, the less income as well. So it is it pays back if you adjust the environment. So now we have a presentation. So the title of my presentation kind of is a little bit confusing, because you might think it's quite easy, accessibility, we understand. But if we talk not only about this physical environment, but also about digital environment and social environment. And so in a couple of minutes I would like to talk about, to speak about the SWOT analysis, which are the hindering and also promoting factors. So what are the hindrances? This is the mindset of our government, because there are several things where we can see it is good, everything is okay, but then still there are some small steps which should have been made, and not having them makes people feel not at ease. And these are just small things. For example, there is no toilets where we can go during the public event, or very narrow doors where I have to push myself inside, and this is not good enough. So there is not enough also legislative basis, which is related to the monitoring system. We see that this construction law has changed, has been amended, but I believe that it has become worse because this monitoring function has disappeared. And nobody is supervising this accessibility, and so it means that maybe some builders might think that we don't need to have it. Also, another disadvantage is attitude of the persons authorizing or needing those buildings and commissioning the buildings. So sometimes people might think that, okay, we can save some money on not having this or that feature. And we have seen this not only among the private companies, but also among state and municipal companies. And we are still talking also about the education of construction workers and construction supervisors and so on. And still there is no subject at the university about universal design. Then also there is not enough alternatives, not enough choice of alternatives. Sometimes we tend to think if we need a lift, there should be a lift, and diagonal, for example, a way how to lift something up. And there are new technologies which are evolving, and stairs are transformed into lifts or ramps, or all this is possible. Maybe this is not yet very cheap, but it could be also a best solution in the old buildings where you might think that these accessibility functions might somehow ruin the view or something. And also we don't have this accessibility options and features are not priority in the construction, and also there are not enough mechanisms how to support and protect the interests and how to solve the problems. And a lot of problems we have with supervision of the maintenance. So, for example, there are excellent sanitary premises, but after a month when the building is commissioned, afterwards this is adjusted and has become a cleaner's, for example, storage place or something. People are just taking over, and nobody is supervising what happens. And if we talk about lifts, for example, in private houses, those lifts do not operate. They are broken after a month, and so they need to call somebody to fix it, and they don't. But now let's talk about these positive factors. So one of these positive factors is, for example, pressure from the European Union. There is a pressure saying that this accessibility has to be ensured, but supervision process, that was a disadvantage. Also, there is the positive factor is that we also have change of attitude of the public, also development of social services, the pressure from the NGOs. Of course, during COVID time, these organizations are struggling, but still there is a pressure. Also, activities from people with disabilities. They are presenting themselves on the streets, and people see that there are people who move along the streets, and people go to the shops and go to the hairdressers and so on. And also there is reinforced and increased interest from the mass media. Also, this accessibility now has come out of the framework of just disability, but we are also talking about cyclists and new parents and so on. And also some tourism offer. Before COVID, these seniors, German seniors, for example, went to Italy and somewhere else, but now they might come here. But if there is no accessibility, of course, they will not come here. So in Apeirons, in our organization, we have created an approach of accessibility circles. So we are not just talking about a lift or one little feature. This is a minimum. What we have included in the construction requirements, this is a minimum, but that not ensure the well-being and well-feeling of people. And if we are complying with those accessibility rules. Okay, this is the first level, but then we have to see how do we organize things? What chairs do we buy? Do we have chairs with supports, or also in the place where some services are given? Are there lower chairs? Are there possibilities for people who are not so tall? And also, how do we put all the signs? There are some objects where it is very hard to understand where is the exit. So those exit signs are very important. Also, exit signs for people with vision disabilities. And there, of course, are people who are not very good at topography. So they don't have GPS in their head installed. And so to make it easy for them. And so the third level is communication and attitude. So how we adjust this public space or homepage or the product or anything. Because we need to see who is the person behind it. Sometimes we have attitude that those people will not come to our building. We will not need it. And this type of attitude we still have, and this post-Soviet thinking is still here. And we pass on these values. So we pretend we don't see, we don't want to involve, we are not interested, and so on. And we use this approach of three levels, and this regulatory basis is just the minimum. But we also add this design and well-being and communication and attitude. And I don't have a lot of time, so I will just talk about a couple of things we are offering from our organization and what we see, what is really needed and demanded in our public. So first is consultation and advice about environmental accessibility. And we are providing this at quite a good level. People from abroad also come to us, also from Brussels, and we consult also Finnish and Estonian colleagues. So this is quite good recognition. Then also we give reports about various construction projects, and Riga Construction Board value very high our reports and the documents we provide. Because if we talk about those older buildings where the ramp maybe is a little bit steeper and so on, but there are just not other solutions available, and so we assess whether it's possible or not. We have also developed methodologies. We have adapted them. For example, in the Scandinavian countries, there is one about natural objects, and also we have involved in this. And then we have a scope of experts who can consult and who can assess and provide the documents and reports about this. And we also provide training about the simpler language communication and also universal design and accessibility for various levels. And then we have the two websites, www.vidispējamība.lv and also www.apeirons.eu. And this is a page which we also updated during COVID times with various natural trails where it's possible to spend time during COVID time. And also hashtag #DotPiec2021. So now it is announced that this year the main topic is accessibility of environment. So this is a pressure from the public. From the public, and this will be a great event where the donations will be collected, and there is a special. This is a special campaign to collect money, and this year this money will be devoted for environmental accessibility. So that was the main message I wanted to deliver. So please use resources available, and let us change our thinking. And architects, please, and construction representatives, remember that this is important for everyone. For a short time, everyone can have some problems, so it's not so easy to move around. Yes, so I am saying thank you very much, and I'm just warning that it was just a short introduction, because we will have another representative from this organization, Apeirons, and